how good is the RX 580? It's starting to show its age. It was released in April of 2017. We are testing the 8GB version today to see if it still holds up in games. As many of you know, about a year ago, AMD decided it was no longer going to drop game-ready drivers for this GPU anymore. I know you're going to have some kind of Linux fanboy down in the comments talking about how great Linux is, but most of us are not going to use that because we enjoy playing games like Fortnite and other kernel-level anti-cheat games. So today we're going to test it in some of the most popular games using the Ryzen 5 3600 because we didn't want to go crazy with the CPU, 32GB of RAM, so you guys can get an accurate representation if it's worth spending the $50 to $65 that you can pick these up for on the used market right now. We're going to kick the benchmarks off with Cyberpunk 2077, a game that's pretty demanding and a lot of people use as a benchmark test. We tried 1080p high settings with no upscaling first. We got around 35 FPS, but if you turn on FSR, you can probably get close to like 45 to 50 FPS. I don't know how smooth that would be, so we also tested it at 1080p low settings and got like 52 FPS, but you're gonna have to use FSR to get a solid 60 with this game, which I still don't think is too bad. Hopping on over to the popular Arc Raiders game, we tried low settings at 1080p, and we actually got like 50 FPS, which is insane because this thing is a UE5 title that's actually optimized. And if you use FSR set to quality, you can play the game really smooth at around 70-ish FPS. Hopping on over to Battlefield 6, it was an interesting one. On low settings, we got 40 to 45 FPS, but if you set FSR to quality, you could get close to 60. Now, I didn't use frame gen on this because the 60 was kind of iffy. You did get like 90 to 100 FPS with frame generation. However, it was extremely laggy and I do not recommend it. If you're okay with 60 FPS, FSR set to quality is fairly playable if you don't have any other options. But Black Ops 7 just got released, and if you're a super sweat, you might want to avoid this game because it was totally made for the super sweats. But we tried low settings and it was pretty similar to Battlefield 6, 45 to 50 FPS, but I will say with FSR set to quality, we did get closer to that 65 to 70 mark, which was much smoother than Battlefield 6. However, frame gen was kind of the same lagginess. Don't use frame gen with the 580. But we wouldn't be doing this card justice if we didn't at least test a couple of CPU-based games, starting with good old Fortnite. Now, you could use a stronger CPU than what we're using, but we wanted to keep it, rational around here. We even tried this one at 1440p since it's a CPU-based game, and on DirectX 12, we got 80 or 90 FPS on the low settings, but if you do 1080p DirectX 12, you get around 130 to 140. Let's be honest, unless you're like a content creator, most people are not playing DirectX 12 on Fortnite, so we're gonna hop on over to performance mode. In performance mode at 1440p, we got around like 160-ish FPS, so our GPU is still holding us back a little bit here. But if you drop it down to 1080p, you get a pretty smooth 200-ish FPS, and you can have a really fun time with Fortnite and a Ryzen 5 3600. But if a game like CS2 is kind of your jam, we also tested it at a bunch of different settings, 1440p, 1080p, and even some 4x3 modes for those weirdos in the comments that like that kind of thing. All of them got around 200-ish FPS. Pretty smooth experience. So overall, even though this game is not getting game day driver updates anymore, for $50 or $60, if you're on a budget, maybe you like it, maybe you don't. But if you want to see any of these games in more detail, I have individual videos that will be up on the channel on this playlist very soon, and subscribe to see more GPU benchmarks.